It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Last of Us on HBO. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the first official teaser that they released for the second season. Now, I am late with this breakdown because I was on vacation, but there are definitely a few things in this teaser that I did want to break down for you guys in this video. Two of the biggest things that were revealed here are our first look at Abby and the Seraphites. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break this down. Before we dive into today's video, I've got some exciting news to share with you. We've just launched brand new merch in our store. If you love the breakdowns and discussions we have here, you're going to love these designs. We've got You're About to Enter the Breakdown Zone, perfect for all you hardcore fans, Breakdown Playground, for those who enjoy diving deep into our content, and Listen, Think, Repeat, to keep you inspired. And of course, our OG design, the good, the bad, and the ugly is in Walking That Style is back by popular demand. So head over to SuperVideos Entertainment Store, check out the new swag, and show your support. The link is in the description. Now let's get into today's video. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into it. So this teaser starts with this shot of Catherine O'Hara's character asking, "Did you hurt her? Then what did you do?" Now, a few things to break down here. The first is obviously we knew that Catherine O'Hara is going to be playing a character on the second season of The Last of Us for quite a bit, but we didn't know which character she was going to be playing. A lot of people thought that she's going to be playing the leader of the Seraphites, like the top figure of that cult, but it didn't turn out that way, and it seems like she's going to be playing a therapist. It looks like she's a therapist at Jackson, most likely, and it looks like she has a session with Joel. The reason why I'm saying that is because in the very next shot, we have Joel looking at Catherine O'Hara's character and then responding with, "I saved her." This is extremely interesting because it is a recreated version of the exact same scene in part 2 of The Last of Us video game. However, in the video game, Joel wasn't talking to a therapist. He was talking to Tommy, telling him about what happened in Salt Lake City and what they basically wanted to do with Ellie and what Joel had to do to save Ellie. Hence, why he said, "I saved her." The exact same scene happened in the video game. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this could be a way for them to throw us off, as trailers do all the time. Like they want you to think that it's that, but it might not be. So keep that in mind. So at this point, it's 50-50. It could be a recreated version of this scene from the game, or it could be them putting two completely different scenes together. So Joel could very well be talking to Tommy, even in the TV adaptation. Next, we have this pretty awesome shot of none other than Dena. Dena is going to be portrayed by Isabel Merced, and we can see the Jackson dance scene right here. Pretty awesome. It's like a identical shot to what was in part 2 of the video game, so you can see how close they are. Looks incredible. Obviously, this is at Jackson, which is pretty awesome. Now, one thing I do want to throw in here is that this fits directly with this shot that was released. This was one of the first pictures that was released for season 2 of The Last of Us, and as you can see, Joel is in that exact same spot, and it looks like he's confronting someone. If you think about the game, you can clearly remember who he was confronting at that spot. He was confronting the owner or the bartender, I don't remember, but it was because he called Dena and Ellie names because obviously they are together, they are in a relationship. So he was basically harassing them. That's why Joel jumped in and defended Dena and Ellie. So it's cool that we have the exact same scene being played out in the TV version. I'm sure that they're gonna go a little overboard, and I'm not gonna really dive into the reasons why they might want to do that, but I am expecting them to really go overboard with this particular story. Next, we have this shot, which I think is a flashback. We can see Ellie laying down, and it looks like she is naked and covered with a blanket or something, and she's screaming. Now, we don't know exactly what's going on here, but I did notice that the person holding her is Marlene, portrayed by Merle Dandridge. So she's going to be reprising her role as Marlene, which is super awesome. Now, we don't know exactly what's going on here, but it's obviously a flashback because Marlene did get killed by the end of season 1 of The Last of Us. Next, we have this shot of Ellie's tattoo, our first official look at Ellie's tattoo. Looks pretty awesome. I am a little disappointed because it doesn't look quite as cool as the video game version. Now, this could be a non-completed version, like it could be an in-progress tattoo, which would be cool, like to see the progression of Ellie getting the tattoo and even a backstory of how she got it. If I remember right, it was her ex-girlfriend who gave her that tattoo, so it would be kind of cool to see like a backstory of that. I don't want them to go overboard with that, but just a quick flashback would be cool. Obviously, we do see the scar on her arm as well, but like I said, the tattoo in part 2 of The Last of Us looks a lot cooler than the tattoo that we are seeing in this particular teaser. Next, we have this pretty cool shot of Ellie with a rifle shooting. I'm sure that she's probably fighting against the WLF or the Washington Liberation Front at this point in Seattle. So that's pretty awesome. We have this shot of Ellie in some sort of a subway, which is definitely super, super interesting. If you remember from part 2 of the game, there was this big storyline in the subways of Seattle, and it seems like this is that exact same thing. For players of the game, you know that at this stage, the player had to fight a very, very strong monster. So I'm hoping that this is Ellie looking at that exact monster because she's reacting like she just saw something that really blew her mind and scared the crap out of her. Now, they want you to think that it was this clicker, which looks freaking fantastic, by the way. They want you to think that Ellie is reacting to seeing this clicker, but that doesn't really make sense because at this stage, she would be a strong, tough character. So a clicker like this wouldn't necessarily make her scared like that, right? So it would only make sense for her to be reacting that way to a new type of monster that she's never seen before. I think it was the rat monster. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that that's Ellie reacting to the rat monster and not to this clicker right here. Then we have this pretty cool shot of Isabel Merced, who of course plays Dena. It looks like this could be the story related to the theater, which is super awesome. If you remember, there's this big showdown that goes down at the theater in Seattle, and I'm thinking that this is from that particular story. I could be wrong, but something is telling me that it could be that. And then we have this shot, pretty cool shot of herd of infected running towards Jackson. Now, it is impossible to say for sure whether these are infected or whether it's just a sea of survivors just running towards Jackson because they have nowhere else to go. But it is snowing and it looks like they're trying to get inside the town. We have this pretty awesome shot of Tommy with his sniper rifle. Looks fantastic. He's trying to take the people out, the people that are approaching. So this is a clue that the people approaching might in fact be infected and not just any survivor. And obviously we see the snow in the background, so it looks like those two scenes match. But if we think about the video game, we know that there is storyline between Tommy and Ellie. Tommy is teaching Ellie how to use the sniper rifle and how to get an accurate shot and all of that. Then we have this shot, which is probably the biggest reveal in the trailer. We have a fence on top of a survivor, and there's infected trying to get to them, and we have that survivor trying to get away. Now, for those of you that don't know, who haven't played the game, that's actually a new character who's going to be introduced in the second season. A pretty big character, like a major storyline related to this character. This is the character of Abby, portrayed by Caitlin Dever. We can clearly see identical scene like that in the video game. So that's pretty much the same scene, and it's the moment where she gets saved by Joel, portrayed by Pedro Pascal. I'm not going to say much more about that, but obviously that's the exact same scene. And just looking at the way she's dressed, identical to the way that the other character was dressed as well. So we can see right here, Joel saves Abby. I'm not going to dive into what happens after this because it's a spoiler, but we know that this is going to be the moment that Abby gets saved by Joel. We have this shot of some people on horseback. I'm assuming that these are people that are with Abby, just like the video game right here. And then we have this shot of a snowy mountainous area. I'm assuming that this is actually Owen and Abby. You can kind of see them on the edge of the mountain right there. I think this is the two of them. For those that don't know who Owen is Abby's boyfriend. And it looks like they are watching something in the distance, which could be when Owen and Abby see Jackson in a distance as well. Not saying it is, but it could be. Then we have our first look at the Seraphites with their torch and everything. Looks pretty awesome. We have two of their members here. We can see how accurate it is compared to the video game. Not much to say for those who don't know about this group other than to say that they are a cult. But we don't see the other characters that are connected to them, like Yara or Lev. So it looks like they're going to keep at least that part of the Seraphites a mystery. And then we have our first look at Isaac Dixon, portrayed by Jeffrey Wright. Now, Jeffrey Wright is actually reprising his role because he voiced Isaac in the video game too, but he is the leader or one of the leaders of the Washington Liberation Front or the WLF. He has someone at gunpoint. It could be from this scene in part 2 of the video game where he had some people related to the Seraphites at gunpoint. Now, the Seraphites are also called Scars in the game. So, for those who might be confused why sometimes they're called Scars, sometimes they're called Seraphites, it's the same thing. It's just different people call them with different names. That's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. I'm definitely super excited to get to see the second season and to see how much they're gonna change as far as the vibe from the first season, because I was not a big fan of the first season because of the lack of the horror elements, the monsters, the action, and all of that. So I'm hoping that the second season brings a lot of that in. And I hope that it's a lot closer to the theme of the video game this time around. But I'm definitely excited to see Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey back as Joel and Ellie, and to see the continuation of their story and see where we go from here. Whether there's going to be a third season, fourth season, and so on. Because obviously, we know that they said part 2 of the video game will be broken into at least 2 seasons. So we know that there's going to be at least 3 seasons, but I don't know how much further they can go with it. And we don't even know if there's going to be additional story that they're going to add on top, which we might not have yet. We might have it later on, but not yet. But that's pretty much everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.